everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the County Seat. I'll bet you can't guess where we are. If you've lived in the state of Utah for any time at all, you probably have been here at Bridal Veil Falls. Well, today on the County Seat, our entire focus of the show is going to be about Utah County. And we haven't done this in the past, but we are going to do a series of shows this year highlighting counties. You know that the pioneers, one of the first places they expanded to out of Salt Lake was to move south. With the freshwater Utah Lake and the big fertile soil along the shores, it was a perfect place for vineyards and orchards and agricultural pursuits. Little communities started to dot up. They have expanded to become Utah's second most populous county and one of the fastest, most dependable growing places. That brings with it a lot of challenges, and those are the sorts of things that we will cover today on our show. Let's start with the history of the county.
Utah County calls itself the heart of Utah. The reason for this could be twofold. The first and most obvious is that Utah County is located near the center or heart of Utah. The second reason is less obvious, but if you get to know the culture and economy, you'll see Utah County is at the heart of what makes Utah, Utah. To understand what makes Utah County a unique place in the state, you have to understand how the county got its start. It is speculated that the first non-Native Americans to visit were Fathers Dominguez and Father Escalante, when their party arrived in the area on September 23, 1776. The explorers didn't stay long, and it would be over 70 years before settlers would come to put down permanent roots.
Well, Provo's history is different in several ways than other places in Utah, other counties in Utah. The people actually wanted to come to Provo. Brigham did not have to call them to come here. They were pestering him to come here. And when he finally relented in 1849, they moved down and started their colony on the Provo River.
The settlers began to move and build their new home, but a struggle for the land was right around the corner.
The only problem being this is where the Utes liked it too. The Timpanogos Utes liked it here. And so there was sort of a headbutting experience right from the very first.
Despite these early issues, the settlers persisted and went on to form towns like Provo, American Fork, Lehigh, and Pleasant Grove, with the county being officially founded in 1850. It has been more than 160 years, and people are still clamoring to come and live there. In 2010, there were 448,000 people living in the county, and in 2015, that number grew to over 575,000 people. That is a 28.3% increase in just 5 years. The county features a thriving education system with 2 universities, BYU and Utah Valley University. 93.3% of the county population over the age of 25 has a high school diploma, and 37.3% of those have bachelor's degrees or higher. It is statistics like this that have made Utah County a destination for businesses. Over the last 15 years, Utah County has experienced explosive job growth as more new businesses arrive. What once was nearly a vacant hillside area is now the Silicon Slopes filled with high-end businesses like Adobe. This new growth isn't surprising considering the county history with technology.
When you think of Utah County specifically, kind of the reason why a lot of the energy is here, why there's so much tech companies popping up, why entrepreneurship is supported in such a way, you really have to look back at like Utah's history, right? When it comes to tech. 2 of the 3 biggest tech companies in the world in the early 90s were based in Provo, Utah, with WordPerfect and Nobel. And I think we just have this strong, rich tech history in Utah County.
Utah County isn't just a great place to work, it's a great place to live, which is why some businesses choose to be there despite most of their work being done out of the county.
Then it came time to build a new building, to grow. And people said, well, surely you're going to build in Salt Lake because that's where 90% of your business is. So I thought about that for a long time. We talked to our employees and said, if we build in Salt Lake, what's going to happen? Will you move? Will you commute? And well over half of them said, gee, Mary, I'm not sure we will. We want to stay in Utah County. And that's when I realized I did too. I wanted to stay here.
And why wouldn't you want to live there? Utah County has safe communities.
I love this lifestyle down here. I love the nature of the people, their kindness, their community-oriented natures. I wanted to live in a place where I could send my kids to the baseball field on their bikes and not have to worry about them.
Excellent education opportunities and access to wonderful recreation opportunities like Bridal Veil Falls, Utah Lake, and of course,
Sundance is an amazing asset. You can see amazing plays there. You got skiing. You've got, in the summers, it's like one of the better places to mountain biking in the whole state.
For the county seat, I'm Malia Stringham.
We're going to take a break. We will return to the studio with the commissioners of Utah County to find out more on the county seat.
There is a place where looking out means looking in, where an impression lasting only a few seconds will be imprinted on a life forever, where courage is forged and innocence rediscovered, where remembering is rewarding and forgetting unforgettable. There is a place where truth is felt and where seeing is believing. There is a place.
The Layton Hills Mall offers more than just shopping. Bring the whole family and enjoy Sequest Interactive Aquarium to feed the fish and exotic birds, hold live reptiles, and even swim with the stingrays. Or pump up the action and visit Dartside, Utah's premier soft foam dart tag arena. And don't forget the Great Room Escape, where you can challenge your friends to solving mysteries inside themed rooms. So come and experience great fun at the Layton Hills Mall and visit playindavis.com for other great activities.
All local products have a story of magical places, real people, and delicious recipes spanning generations. So go ahead and discover flavors you've never tasted and friends you never knew you had. Utah's own Discover Local Food.
Welcome back to the county seat. Our highlight this week is focused on Utah County. We're spending the whole half hour talking about the county, its history, its challenges. Joining us for the conversation, Commissioners Nathan Ivey and Bill Lee. Guys, thanks for joining us today. It's really good to see both of you fellas. Obviously, we see that from the story that Utah County is poised for, it's done a great job of growing. It's currently growing. What is a vision that you guys see for the future, laying out 10, 20 years?
Like the future, well, I think the first future is we're going to move the monument from this is the place up there in Salt Lake area down here to Utah County. Because we've through studies and models and everything, we know that there's a lot of people coming here to Utah County, or they're projected to come this direction. And so that puts pressures on us to make sure that we do police force, law enforcement, police force, transportation is appropriate, recreation as well that we have in there, and that we keep the quality of life that we have right now and maintain that as we're going forward.
Is that a big juggling act, Nathan?
It's a very big juggling act to try and find the proper balance, especially when you're faced with growth. And Utah County has a very unique balance to keep. That's because we have an amazing tech hub up around the point of the mountain in Silicon Slopes, where we're attracting major world, companies like Adobe and others. And then in the south end of our county, we actually lead the nation in things like tart cherry production, and we lead the state in agricultural receipt production. And so as a county, we have amazing diversity, and so finding the proper balance to make sure that growth happens and we promote our businesses and all of those wonderful things happening in our technology hub, our financial hubs, but stay true to our roots in agriculture is a challenge.
Do you kind of feel like when you come into commission meetings, sometimes it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and you got these hats you got to switch?
It's like we always have to do that. We go from issue to issue, and they are wide range, and what we try to accomplish and what we try to do. So it is. It's a back and forth. It's a balancing act.
Why do you think there's such an appeal to Utah County? I mean, I'm sure part of it's what you just mentioned, Nathan, that it's within one county, you can come here for good urban business, but you can go pick cherries right off the tree. But what do you think the general appeal is that's drawing all this growth?
I think one of the things that's a great appeal is our taxes. Utah County is the lowest tax county in the entire state of Utah. And we live by the philosophy of small limited government and allowing the people to do what the people do best. And as a result, we create an atmosphere where we attract wonderful people who do wonderful things.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, the greatest resource that we have here in Utah County is the people. And what they're willing to go out, take chances in business. They're willing to be entrepreneurs and say, let's try this. And they're willing to say, this is what we don't want, and we're willing to stay the way we are. So I applaud that.
So you were mentioning a minute ago, there are a whole bunch of models of what your future looks like. Would there be one you'd want to pick and just kind of paint in a broad brush what 10 years down the road looks like for Utah County? 10
years. I mean, the Gardner Institute. I sat on a panel up in Salt Lake, and they went through a whole bunch of different modeling in which they take all the factors and they put it in place and then say, how is Utah County going to grow and why is it going to grow? And when they went through about 48 different models, and then they picked the average on that, and they're saying by 2065 there were going to be 1.2 million people in this valley. And so right now we're a little over about 600,000, so we're going to grow rapidly.
That, if you stop to think about that, I was an adult at the time Utah crossed that kind of a number as far as the 1 million people just within my lifetime, and to see that happen right into one county, that's just phenomenal. Do you think you're going to carry a lot of the population growth for the state in the coming years?
Absolutely. As you look at, one of the factors is geography, right? Salt Lake County is getting pretty dang full. They don't have much more land space. In Utah County, we do have some land space available, especially as you look west in our Eagle Mountain area and in our southwest out in little places like Genoa and Goshen. There's land available, and so when we look at those particular areas, we have some land capacity to have more people, whereas a lot of the other more urban areas of the Wasatch Front are becoming fairly built out.
Yeah,
we still have some room to grow.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to some of the challenges that all this growth is going to bring, and how the counties, Utah County in particular, will need help achieving their goals. We'll be right back with the County Seat.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah Valley? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
ATV? Check. Four-wheel driving? Check. Bouldering? Check. Mountain biking? Check. Hiking? Check. River rafting? Check. Adventure is about more than just crossing activities off of a list, but hey, if you can find a place that gives you everything you're looking for, all the better. In Emery County, you'll find the San Rafael Swell, trails, lakes, and the small-town hospitality you're looking for. San Rafael Country, in the heart of Utah. Visit us and check something off your list.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking to the commissioners of Utah County as we highlight Utah County for the entire half hour of the county seat this week. With all this growth, what are your concerns about, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing the county?
Well, I think that we're going to have transportation always is going to be one where we have concerns, and infrastructure, because although we have a lot of land, it's not developed land, you know, in the way of growth that's coming. And so there's going to be infrastructure challenges, transportation challenges, and then finding the right blend between what we have in our county, which is urban and rural, and how that interfaces between the two. We're seeing some of those buffers hit right now, and they're causing problems, you know, with perceptions and what's going on. So those are the challenges that we have.
Along with some of those challenges, I think, and it touches on what Commissioner Lee mentioned here, one of the things that's beautiful about Utah County are our recreational opportunities. We have places like American Fork Canyon, Provo Canyon, Spanish Fork, Payson Canyon. These are just amazing places to go recreate, to camp, mountain bike, ski, you know, hike, do those type of things that Utahns love to do. As we see a ginormous influx of people, those recreation areas face increased pressures from usage. And so what are we doing now to make sure that we're preserving large, diverse recreation opportunities so that in 50 years from now, when we've got 1.6 million, 1.7 million people living here, that we still have those diverse recreation opportunities to go to, because today we looked to the future and created a vision to protect those areas that once you lose, you never get back.
So is part of that equation looking for new places to set aside as you expand out for recreational opportunities, like West Mountain or something like that?
Sure, you know, and I remember years ago, and I know that Salt Lake County is still kind of going through some of the changes of this, but when we were laid out every 15 miles, there was a city, there was a lot of space in between. But as you grow together, you lose that space in between, and if you don't do something, or if communities don't do something to have open space, then you wind up with everything melted together, and then you start going the other direction and trying to buy stuff to get spaces in between. And that's what Salt Lake County has been trying to do. And so if we can look now and say, why don't we have areas that are set aside, cities, counties, you know, as they make those areas available, we can have that richness that we want.
Is that sometimes an unpopular thing?
From my perspective, my interaction with the community, it's not been unpopular. It's actually very supported, because the people have come here because they love those type of activities, and when they see elected officials working with the various mayors or other entities to try and accomplish those goals that we have as a broad county, they're very supportive of those ideas. Now, they're challenging because they're expensive. You know, what's the right area? How do you build the infrastructure to it? How do you find the money to pay for some of those things? Those are the challenges that come with it, but there's general broad support for that forward-looking vision for the county from the people, from my perspective.
If most of your growth is out west, I mean, I'm looking that, you know, Provo, Orem, Spanish Fork, we're kind of filled in here. Well, I mean, there's a little space south, but like, you know, American Fork, you're pretty filled in. So it seems to me that it's going to be out west that you have that expansion. I think before the show you were mentioning an extension of water out there, that direction.
Yep. Yeah, we're looking at trying to bring water particularly to the southwest end of the county. That's a more dry, arid region of the county. What can we do to have, you know, agriculture and residential water usage out there, and making sure that as the northwest, as Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs area, they have good water now, but that's now. What do we have as we look down the road for that future population, and what are we doing to make sure we put the proper infrastructure in place now, so that again, when we get to those critical points, it's there and deliverable, instead of being reactionary to a problem. We were forward thinking on all of those issues.
And if transportation is one of those things, I mean, I see a huge challenge in Utah, because you've got a lake right in the middle of the county that, while it's only 8 feet deep, is still a lake in the middle of the county. How does that affect transportation planning?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's, like you said, it's right in the middle of the county. And so our northwest corridors are important to us. We've got to have to move people back and forth. You look at other counties, even like Salt Lake County, their east and west is what they're dealing with now, trying to get people out. but our north and west. And so we have those in place. There's models out there that we're looking at. We're trying to do preservation corridors so we can purchase the land now, so that when it's available for us to put the transportation out there, we'll have that land already purchased and ready to go. And that's one of the things that we're working at.
In touching on that, and this is one thing Commissioner Lee let out on and was fantastic with, is trying to build a better working relationship with our federal agencies. Like most counties in Utah, we have a large amount of federally owned land. And periodically you get a little small chunk of federally owned land where you're trying to put a sewer line through or a road through, and then it becomes very cumbersome. So we're trying now to work through those challenges with our federal land issues to make sure when growth hits, particularly again in that west side where we have a lot of federal land, that those are mapped and handled in a manner that allows us to efficiently and quickly put in those sewer lines and roads and other infrastructure needs that come along with that growth.
When you have a smaller county like Utah County that's got a fair chunk of federal land in it, does this seem like one of the logical places where maybe the transfer, which has been a very controversial issue, would make sense?
Oh, it absolutely will. And we went through our resource management plan, and we just adopted that this year. And like Commissioner Ivey mentioned, there are areas where the federal land comes down, and it does not make sense at all for them to have that or hold that. And like we all know, on a federal basis, it's going to take years to actually get something passed and to go down through on a disposal basis. And it may take 10 years, and we have to start now because we can't allow for growth to hit that and then cause problematic areas for us. And so the transfer of federal lands is very important to us, not just to our county. We know it's for the other counties as well, but we need to be on the forefront of going forward with that.
It would almost seem like it's a bigger issue here, or potentially could be a bigger issue here than the town or the counties that are still grazing a lot. I mean, they may find peace with their federal partners and continue their lifestyle, but as you urbanize, this seems like it could be a really big problem.
As we urbanize, you run into a lot of conflict. Take forest management, for example. We have a lot of our cities that are now abutting forest land. And if the Forest Service is doing a poor job of managing that and keeping things like beetle kill out, then we run into serious fire issues that immediately threaten homes. And so it's critical that we have those good management practices honed in on a local level so we can control and protect our citizens from those type of natural disasters that are preventable.
That would also have an impact on your watersheds too, I suppose.
Oh, you bet. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the county seat. We'll continue our conversation. We'll kind of wrap things up here on our highlight of Utah County. It's been a great conversation so far. We invite you to return with us right after this commercial break.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high, and the stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
The Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
Welcome back to the county seat. We've been talking about Utah County, the pluses, the minuses, the challenges, the benefits of living here with a great bunch of people that run the county. The commissioners have been a lot of fun to talk to today. Just in kind of a wrap up, anything that you feel is really important to tell the people of Utah about Utah County?
I think for me is that it's the heart of Utah County. That's our slogan, but I truly believe that. Everything that happens here affects Utah. The good things that we do here are part of why Utah is so successful. We've created a model of government and a culture and a society that's truly reflective of the American spirit and the American dream. And that dream and spirit lives here in Utah County. And because we help push the blood to the rest of the state, Utah has become the shining example to the nation of what can happen when you live by good principles. And those are the principles and ideals that we embrace here in Utah County, of being a good neighbor, keeping government small and limited, and allowing the people to have freedom.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, a lot along the similar lines that Commissioner Ivey has there. Again, our greatest resource is the people that we have here in the county. And they do phenomenal jobs in keeping government under its proper role. I believe gives the county greater flexibility and greater opportunity. And there's a lot going on here, from Sundance to Bridalveil Falls, you know, to out of the lake, to out shooting on the other side of the lake. And there's so many things that are happening here in Utah County that it's just fun to be a part of it and see the good things that are happening.
You guys have a really good working relationship, don't you?
Yeah, you bet.
I know everybody would say that, but
if you'd stop kicking me under the table. No.
But I get the sense that you guys really have a united front, and that there's a good you know, unified motion forward with your leadership in the. Is that a fair statement?
Sure. I think so. Yeah. And I would actually, I think within the commission, we're striving very hard to have good communication, be on the same page and work together. And within the whole entire Utah County government, from our assessor's office and our recorder and our treasurer, our sheriff's department, we're all committed to helping this place be a wonderful place to live. And I think that spirit of cooperation runs not just within our commission office, but countywide.
And my hope is that by the end of this, that I can ride a horse half as good as Nathan can.
Well, that would be an accomplishment.
Yeah. So, well, he's getting closer. We're working on it.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us about Utah County. It's been a great conversation. Appreciate it immensely. Thank you for tuning in to watch the county seat each week. These programs are important. They highlight the most important level of government that you will encounter in your life. Local government, county government's where your life happens. So check out our social media. We love your engagement there. Talk to us what you think about it. And we'll see you next week on the county seat.